Time, not space. No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Hello, and welcome back to I Don't Know What You're Talking About, a podcast between two humans who may or may not be married, and where we talk to each other about topics that the other person might not know about. We are married.
You sound like you're announcing our divorce.
You heard it first here. No, I wouldn't bring that up on the podcast. We would keep doing the podcast as if we're married. We wouldn't tell our listeners that we got divorced.
For sure.
It'd be awkward.
Be fine.
Just getting together and once a week or bi-weekly, bi-monthly.
I think I really want to nail down if these are weekly or every other week.
All right, let's nail it down right now. What are you feeling?
I feel like weekly might make the routine easier.
Okay.
Like we might lose momentum if we go to every other week.
Okay.
Starting now, I realize we have lost momentum.
Well, welcome back to the kitchen table. It's nice to see you again. What's on your mind? What have you been up to? All right, there's a bug in my face.
Now it's in my face.
I feel like something that's on the tip of my brain is that we saw recently that a wild safari park on the southern Oregon coast was raided, and they found meth, cocaine, firearms, modified firearms to be machine guns, and
confiscated like 300 animals.
Yeah, and they took all the animals.
Yeah.
Where did the animals go?
To different, what's the word? Refuges?
Refugees? They gave them to refugees.
Animal refuges? Why does that sound so funny? That's a thing.
Yeah, no. Why does that word? It's a different word.
It's hard to make it plural for some reason.
Refuges. Are we both Googling refuge right now? They took them to animal shelters.
Like animal rescue type places.
Rescue, that's a better word. Yeah. Refuges? Does this mean that every kind of small town animal park is doing something crazy? Like that wildlife safari place near Roseburg? Do you think this is also similar?
Maybe, but that doesn't seem like a good cover-up business for a drug and firearm.
Right.
Because it's so conspicuous.
Well, maybe it's started as a hiding in plain sight thing. People who own tigers would never also be dealing cocaine.
Because it'd be too obvious. Yeah.
Right, exactly. But if somebody owns a frame shop, and you're like, why do these frames cost so much? Why?
Yeah.
You're like, well, for tax purposes, frames has to cost $1,200 each time.
Wasn't there a mattress shop on Belmont that people thought this about because they had two things for sale all the time?
I don't think people thought this. I think we knew a dude who confirmed it. I think we thought it. Yeah, there was, should we say the name? It doesn't matter at this point.
I think it's gone.
Dixie Mattress on Hawthorne Street in Portland. No, Belmont?
My memory is this was something on Belmont.
Belmont Street, yeah. And we always thought it was a very bizarre business for that spot, and it didn't seem like it had many mattresses in it. But then a friend of ours was like, oh yeah, they totally grow weed on top of the building.
Dixie Mattress on Belmont.
That's exactly what I said.
2010. It closed in 2010.
Oh, wow.
And the article is, neighbors glad to see Portland's Dixie Mattress close.
It definitely, I have a memory of going in there one time, and it definitely seemed like they were shocked that somebody was shopping.
Yeah.
But you're right, a frame store, a mattress store, not exotic cats. But maybe the overlap of the Venn diagram of people that are into illegal things, and kind of acquiring large exotic animals is not
Right, it could be in that same vein. Yeah. And guns and animals.
Yeah, they're all you kind of can get them legally, but there's also a lot of ways you can get them illegally.
Did you already mention the light bulb store?
No.
I mean, I don't think they're a cover for something, but like, how do stores like that survive?
In a prime spot on Mississippi Avenue.
Yeah.
My theory in my head is that is like that somebody owned that building for a long, long time and then passed it on to their kid who...
Right, they actually own it. They don't pay...
Right, exactly. Like
a lease. Yeah, they're not leasing it.
They can sell one light bulb a month and they'll still stay in business. And they can just put up their Lego creations in the front window.
Sunland lighting. Yeah, we should find out what the details are about that building.
We should have them on the show.
Okay. Yeah, we should tell people that we're thinking about like a little Patreon where we'll have extra episodes, but also people could tell us topics that they want us to cover.
Totally. Yeah, if people want to, well, first of all, follow us on IDKWYTA pod on Instagram. And also, if you want to hit up IDKWYTA pod at gmail.com, you can send us ideas of things that you want to hear about on the podcast. Like if you know about a topic and you're like, ooh, they should talk about this.
Yeah.
Send it to us.
Yep.
Also, in my mind, the Patreon episodes, I just want us to watch like trash TV and then talk about it afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Or good TV too.
That's my favorite activity.
Yeah.
I remember something that I wanted to talk about was, I have not looked into this at all. I just remembered that just now that I wanted to talk about it. Did you see those articles about how we're closer to being able to figure out what dolphins are saying now because of AI?
Oh my God, finally.
But this breaks my brain because I don't understand this. Because AI, just a collection of everything we already know as a society. So like, how is AI figuring out something doesn't exist?
Right. Does that mean there's some website on the internet that knows dolphin language and AI is like, I got it. I Googled it.
I Googled it and found it.
Yeah.
I feel like there's some like, I picture that all of the pieces in our human knowledge exist out there. And somehow by piecing together, like let's say there's some research on certain sound frequencies in sea mammals and blah, blah, like whatever. And then there's also like someone who monitored dolphins and kept track of different sounds, like all of these disparate things that have happened in the history of science and humans documenting things. And AI is like bringing that together with additional data that scientists have or something. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. They're able to like synthesize all the information together, and
they're braiding it in a way that like a human wouldn't even be able to, because you wouldn't find or you wouldn't layer all of that in the right way.
Do you think dolphins have anything interesting to say? Like I'm trying to imagine. At first I was like, oh, this is great. And then I was like, wait, what? Are they just going to be like, I want fish?
Also, I didn't read about this at all. So is this really a thing?
This could be your live topic for tonight. We could just start Googling about dolphin languages.
Google's newest AI model is designed to help study dolphin speech. It can help decipher dolphin vocalizations, supporting research efforts to better understand how dolphins communicate. So maybe it's less literal than I was picturing. Like, it's not like we're trying to translate it into a human language, but rather like
just like
concepts or something.
How will they communicate with each other? Like what they're saying to each other?
Yeah.
You know what would be hella ironic is if we finally get all these AI servers to translate dolphin language, and the dolphins are talking about how AI is ruining the environment because it takes so much water to cool it and is like ruining the seas.
Yeah.
Like the last
That's probably what they're chatting about.
Finally understand what it's saying.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. This says Google is using AI to compile dolphin clicks into human language.
Into human language. Okay.
See, that's kind of what I was wondering. Like, is that what we're trying to do versus like more conceptual? Like a concept of playfulness or something, like, is it words or is it like...
I mean, the dolphins definitely don't have every word that we have. I don't think they say bark a lounger or something like that.
Yeah, good point.
But if it's around, I'd love to hear what they're saying. I don't need it at the cost of the environment, though.
You're taking a stand?
Yeah, exactly. I'm pro-dolphin. Mas or Manos on Dolphin Speak. I'll listen if it's there, but we don't need to pursue it.
Maybe I'll read more about this and tell you more at the next episode.
Love to.
That's all. Well, should we go into our, like, what you've been reading, watching, eating?
What are we
drinking,
wearing? Who
looking
are we
at?
wearing? What are we looking at? Who are we talking shit about? That's one of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Is there an order?
Let's do watching.
Well, we just finished season 2 of The Last of Us. I feel like we always just talk about these things we don't want to spoil for people.
Okay, but I want to talk about The Pit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, please go ahead.
But you could finish on Last of Us without spoiling it.
I feel like we've got a real Game of Thrones, people who read the book versus people that are just enjoying the show. And there's a lot of, like, I have a coworker that has played all the games and definitely knows more about me about the story. And it kind of makes me want to get in there and actually play the second game, because I played part of the first one, but there was definitely a lot of things that happened this season that I was like, what? I had no idea what were going to happen. And now, I mean, is it a spoiler to say there's going to be a third season? I feel
No.
a little bit. But I enjoyed it. I thought it's fun. I also think it's weird that there's not like more post-apocalyptic shows, because I feel like we always eat it up.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of endless potential for that topic.
I think it's awful that Bella Ramsey has gotten so much shit from video game players about her portrayal of Ellie in the show. Like, there's all these toxic male video game players. Like, she had to delete all her social media because she like couldn't take it.
Yeah,
because people were like, she looks different. Video game Ellie different.
Yeah, that's so dumb.
Yeah. And also there's some people that are like, Pedro Pascal also doesn't look a lot like but Joel in the game.
We're not worried about him.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, it's so classic and stupid.
What's that other actress's name that plays, what's her name? Abby. She also was in that high school movie that was like, kind of like, I can't think of anything.
Caitlin Dever.
Yes.
Or Dever.
Caitlin Dever. She was in that movie with the two, Booksmart? No. The two high school girls on like the last day of high school.
Oh my God, you just blew my mind. Yes. I love Booksmart.
Yeah.
That's like a really fun movie that I feel like a lot of people don't talk about.
It's so good.
Like, I feel like Superbad gets so much shine.
Yeah, I was going to say it's like the female version of Superbad.
Yeah, it's like very similar and all, but it's done so well. And they're like, both those ladies are so great in it.
Well, since I've been reading recently that people that have been working with that actress have been saying she's like the Meryl Streep of the next generation. Like, her acting is incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
The Caitlin Dever Endeavor. Endeavor is in her name.
That will be the name of her memoir, her biopic that you're going to develop.
I wish there was another word in my name.
I'm trying to
Don't
think
say
of
my
one.
full name on the podcast.
I was just trying to think of one in your first name. Like, Garrett, is it? Like, Garrett.
Garrett is it. That's when I'm running for senator. I always get people that send me that meme that's like, I'm going to name my kid Garrett, but it's going to be short for cigarette. And I'm like, oh, good one. Cool.
I've never seen that.
Oh, I get it sent a lot to me.
Oh. Newsflash listeners, don't send that to Garrett.
I mean, it's fine.
Cigarette.
He's not going to get a chuckle. The first time there was a chuckle, but.
Okay. Well, okay. The Pit. So it is a set in an emergency department.
An emergency room?
No.
An ER of sorts?
I was just going to make a joke that if you work in my field, you call it an ED.
Is that true?
Yes, 100%.
And your field is erectile dysfunction?
No, I'm saying they're referred to as EDs.
Okay.
In the healthcare world.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Do
But
people joke about it?
no.
Oh.
About erectile dysfunction?
Neither would I.
I mean, I mostly think it's weird that there's two.
EDs?
No, that some people say ER and some people say ED.
Okay.
It's weird.
Is it because there's more than one room? Is that why people call it a department?
Yeah, I guess like it's the department of the health system. Yeah. Anyways, the Pit is kind of, it has one of the main guys from ER.
Noah Wiley.
Yeah. But it's like 20 years later. And
Well, it's not a sequel to ER.
No, but he's the star of it and he's from ER and it's about an ER.
It's like 28 years later.
Right.
I mean...
No, I think we figured out it was 20 years after the end of ER.
Okay, yeah, like 28 since like the beginning of ER. So there was 8 seasons of ER or something?
I think more, yes. I think more than that. Okay. But there's only one season out so far. And the whole season is one day, like one day/night in an emergency department. ED and ER in Pittsburgh. And
That's why it's called The Pit. P-I-T-T.
Yeah. And every episode is 1 hour. In the Pit.
I love that it's like the entire season is one day, like a whole shift in the ED.
Good job.
Thank you. And that, each episode's an hour. Sorry, I had probably just repeated what you were saying as I was reading about when ER ran.
No, it was helpful to highlight it to really emphasize that point.
Well, I think that there's not a lot of shows that do that. Although I never watched 24. Did you watch that show?
No.
I think that's the same formula, that it's like a 24-hour season, but each show is an hour.
Oh, that makes sense.
24 episodes in the season. It's a 24-hour day.
And they're hour episodes that actually represent an hour?
I think so. I've never watched it.
I think it works well for emergency room because it's like this fast-paced, like
ED?
Yeah, condensed story. And we've both heard that there's like people who work in EDs have said this is one of the most accurate representations of what that work is actually like. It's a little, I think, like Law and Order in that it's like a little bit soapy. I don't know if soapy is even the right word, but a little bit like it's not like a...
It's definitely got Law and Order SVU vibes because there's little mini things happening of like, oh, this person's going into shock because of this and their family's here and there's this dynamic happening, so we have to be careful with this. But then there's also like relationship stuff between the doctors and not even necessarily romantic relationship stuff, but just, interactions where they're getting to know each other and finding out things about each other as well. And I feel like that was a big SVU thing that was different than the original Law and Order. That we learned a lot more about the personal lives of the people working.
And then it also has maybe a little bit of the ripped from the headlines. Not as like direct as Law and Order where they take like an actual story, but it's a lot of like very topical, like mass shootings or fentanyl or like things that are very topical and focus on that.
Unlike SVU that just tries to work in like buzzwords and current tech.
Yeah.
They're like, she did a screen grab from her Snapchat and shared it on Facebook directly. Like, screen grab?
Yeah, they always have like slightly, and like Facebook is like face. I don't know. They have like slightly off names because they can't use them. That's funny.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Does somebody own Screenshot? Is that a brand? Like Kleenex. My favorite part of SVU is when Ice T, whenever somebody's like, or he'll be talking and he's like, man, she sold her kid to buy money for crack? That's messed up. And doesn't he have a podcast called That's Messed Up or something like that?
I don't think he does, but I think the podcast about
SVU.
Yeah, is called That's Messed Up.
I can hear Jenny just screaming into her AirPods right now.
Yeah.
I think she's a fan.
Okay. Anything else we're watching?
No. I mean, yes, we're watching Hacks.
Yeah.
And it's great. I feel like they've done I actually feel like this most recent season was better. Like if you ask, I think this is season 4 that we're in. Like if you ask me what season 3 and 2 were mainly about, I don't know if I could really recount that much, but I feel like this one is more memorable, and I feel like I like what they're doing with the characters. Although it almost felt like it was starting to get into a will they, won't they, Ross and Rachel thing between the two main characters.
Yeah, but I felt like at the beginning of the season, it felt like a little repetitive with that theme, but they've, I think, resolved that a little bit. It's gone a little deeper than that, I feel like, throughout this season.
I just love that it's like a show about writing comedy and stars 2 women, and is really smart and fun and also hilarious.
It's hilarious. And Jimmy, one of the writers, his character in it, I love.
Yeah, the guy from Broad City.
Yeah.
I just heard him on Conan O'Brien's a Friend. What is his name?
It cracked me up at the episode we just watched where he was like, I don't look at screens before I have my warm water with lemon.
Paul W. Downs is his name. And apparently, I think writes with his wife, and his wife directs a lot of the episodes of Hacks, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we start a TV show?
You and me?
Yeah.
Sure. We don't have enough things going on. Probably easy to break into as well.
Yeah. Listening to.
I'm still listening to a lot of Screen Drafts podcasts where they, come up with these lists of movies that fit certain genres or categories or directors or actors. We talking about music?
Music, podcasts, yeah, whatever.
I don't know how much we talked a little bit about Coachella on here, but after thinking about my Coachella experience, I think Catriel and Paco Amoroso, these 2 dudes from Argentina that kind of do like pop, hip hop, every genre, that they were probably my favorite thing that I watched at Coachella.
And Tiny Desk is so fun.
Since then, I've watched their Tiny Desk, and it's like amazing. And I actually went to the Tiny Desk YouTube and sorted it by views and saw which videos were the most popular. And they're like in the top 10 or 15, which is crazy because there's so many Tiny Desks that are huge. But yeah, their songs are almost too catchy, where I find myself like having them in my head too much, where I'm like, okay, I need to burn this out with something else because I can't just keep singing Gangsta, Baby Gangsta in my head.
Or you can.
Tieno pero gangsta, tu baby gangsta. Which
it's a good rendition of it.
Thank you. I told you it's in my head a lot. Which, when I was looking at the NPR Tiny Desk concert, I think it said cute but gangsta. Mm-hmm. And but I recently Googled that tierno actually means tender, so it's like tender but gangster, baby gangster.
I think I'm curious, like, I feel like sometimes with that, yes, it translates to tender, but the meaning might be more like cute in Spanish. You know what I mean? Like the...
Well, that's probably
purpose.
one of those things where it varies by region so much, where like, I wonder if we should ask our Colombian friends, like, what tierno means in Colombia, like versus Argentina or Mexico or something like that.
Yeah, because even if it translates to tender, they might use it in the same way we would use cute.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like I shouldn't delve into this full topic, but I told you that...
You going to talk about ED?
The Taylor Swift... Well, so at night with my daughter, every night to go to sleep, we listen to Taylor Swift's Folklore album.
Oh, yeah.
And which is really nice, like sleepy music. And she always wants the same album. So I hear these songs so much.
Every night.
Every single night. So much.
Do you have a favorite on the album?
Well, I think it's a pretty good album, but and I wasn't very familiar with it until we started listening to them for bedtime. But one of them is called The Last Great American Dynasty. And maybe we can splice in a clip.
I think we can do up to 3 seconds.
Okay.
Erin, go ahead and spice it up and splice in a clip when you're editing this.
But the lyrics, I was like, what in the world? Because this... People probably already know this. Like, this song is from 2020, so maybe this is really old news.
I mean, the demographics show that most of our listeners are big Swift heads.
That's true.
Swifties?
Tay
heads?
But, like, to give you a sample of it, Rebecca rode up on the afternoon train. It was sunny. Her salt box house on the coast took her mind off St. Louis. Bill was the heir to the Standard Oil name and money, and the town said, how did a middle-class divorcee do it? The wedding was charming if a little gauche. There's only so far new money goes. They picked out a home and called it Holiday House. Their parties were tasteful if a little loud. The doctor had told him to settle down. It must have been her fault that his heart gave out. And then, so, he dies. And there's all these lyrics around, there goes the last great American dynasty. But after he dies in this story, they say she was seen on occasion pacing the rocks, staring out at the midnight sea, and in a feud with her neighbor, she stole his dog and died at Key Lime Green. 50 years is a long time. Holiday House sat quietly on that beach, free of women with madness, their men and bad habits, and then it was bought by me. So I read about this, and this is the house that Taylor Swift owns in Rhode Island.
A true story?
It's a true story about the woman who lived there before her, or like a while back.
And she died a dog?
Yeah, actually she died a cat. In the song, it's a dog, but I read about it, and it's like a cat in real life.
So Taylor took some liberties.
Yes.
Or maybe she had to change it, so they couldn't sue her.
Rebecca gave up on the Rhode Island set forever, flew in all her bitch pack friends from the city, filled the pool with champagne and swam with the big names, and blew through the money on the boys and the ballet. It's like all true. She just like had this crazy party house.
That filled the pool with champagne?
Yeah.
You think that's true? Did you Google this? Did you fact check? Would you get drunk just from swimming in it, not drinking it?
But she was like this middle-class divorced woman that married this heir, moved into this house, this like crazy house in Rhode Island on the coast, and then he died, and then she like partied there until her death.
Wow.
And died neighbors' pets.
Why did she die the neighbor's pet? Because she was drunk from swimming in the champagne pool.
No, they were fighting.
Oh. About her loud parties.
Probably.
I wonder if it'd be easier to float in champagne because of the bubbles. They lift you up.
So maybe at the next episode I can read like her background and tell more about her story.
Please.
Because she died in 1982.
She also died that cat.
Rebecca Harkness.
Harness?
Harkness.
Harkness. Yeah. I was born in 82. And I believe in reincarnation. So,
You're Rebecca Harkness?
yeah.
That makes so much sense.
I do love champagne and practical jokes.
Oh, look it. Their Rhode Island estate holiday house was the site of some Gatsby-esque parties. They recall that Harkness once filled her pool with Dom Perignon.
What?
How do you say it?
Dom Perignon?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I was totally like, if I was to fill a pool with champagne, like, would I go super low end or would I go mid range? And certainly it'd be insane to fill it with like a nice champagne. That's like one of the nicest champagnes. I gotta do some Googling and some math.
It also said she put scotch in her fish tank.
What? Okay. Okay, I'm currently Googling how many gallons does the average pool hold?
Should I just keep going and have this be my topic tonight?
Maybe. Hold on, I'm doing a lot of math. You keep talking. How many 750 milliliters fit into 19,000 gallons? Hey Siri, how many 750 milliliter bottles would fit into 19,000 gallons?
Do you want me to?
Sure, use ChatGPT. Okay, that's 95,000 bottles of champagne.
What?
Yeah, this is why I'm like, what? This is insane. Okay. Average. Okay, the price of a bottle of Dom Perignon is about $250 to $400. So let's go on the low end and do $250 times. How many did I say?
95,000?
That's $23 million. That can't be right. Well, I guess we don't know how big her pool was. Maybe it was like a kiddie pool or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's crazy. And you should really find out like how much money she got from that. I mean, I guess if it's an American dynasty, like old money.
Oh yeah, no, this article is like she was catapulted into like the highest of society.
I mean, yeah, if you got something like, $50 billion or something like that, you might not bat an eye at your $23 million champagne pool. So how quick did it get gross? Like,
yeah, really gross.
Next day.
Yeah.
All right, well, that was a fun departure.
That's what I've been listening to every night.
Are you picturing it every night while you're laying in bed with our daughter?
Yeah.
Does our daughter ever have questions about it?
Mm-mm. Yeah, she hasn't asked about that one. But I feel like the way the song, I feel like you have to be paying pretty close attention to realize that it's like a story about a woman.
Right.
For a 7-year-old at least.
I love songs that tell a story.
I do too.
We should make a playlist of them.
Yeah, like I left my wallet in El Segundo.
That was the first one I was thinking of.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Also that Outkast song where he talks a lot about his relationship with Andre 3000's.
Like he wants her to drive into a ditch?
No.
And she's putting on mascara?
No. Where he talks about his relationship with Erica Badu and their
I'm sorry, Miss
son.
Jackson.
No, not that one.
Sorry.
Sure. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. But that's not a story. Okay, I'll look it up.
No, I'm just trying to remember what it is. I think I know what you're talking about. Oh, like he'll be 7.
Yeah, exactly.
He's 6 now, he'll be 7 or something. That one, yeah.
A Life in the Day of Benjamin Andre.
Yeah.
I met you in a club in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah.
Sydney and my homeboy were coming out with an album. You looked at me like, yeah, N-word, right? But you gave me your number anyway. You were on the talcum powder. How about them oranges? Like, it's just like it's like a start to finish, like, of their relationship. Also, it's like some great rap.
Mm-hmm.
Erin, cut out that part where I said N-word.
Okay, that will be edited out. Okay, look at.
Gosh.
I have two.
Oh, go ahead.
I don't know if one of these counts, but I saw an article heading that said there's some new Nikes that get cleaner the more you wear them.
What?
Yes.
Okay.
That's crazy.
I mean, I doubted you when you talked about that statue breathing, so I'm not going to doubt you ever again. But how's that work? That's like in Back to the Future 2 when they talk about dust repellent covers for the book.
It works somehow.
I also have similar feelings about when they're like, oh, this fabric is SPF 50. I'm like, what? Why isn't every fabric SPF? Like,
Nike is dropping dirty Air Force Ones that get cleaner the more you wear them.
they start dirty? It's a Benjamin Button?
Yes. What? The Nike Air Force One dirty triple white feels like the kind of thing you'd find on Facebook Marketplace during a 1 a.m. scroll. The listing might say only worn once, basically new, but the deep creases, blah, 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 blah. But these are new. They look very used. The dirty triple white does exactly what it says on the tin. It's the classic triple white that's been around since the 80s, but now the sneaker has been designed to look trashed. It's pre-yellowed. There are dark marks across the front, and some of the stitching on the swoosh has already come loose. Even the insole and the heel badge are all marked up to make it look like they've been worn a few thousand times.
Wait, does the logo re-stitch itself?
Let's see. Pre-worn kicks are nothing new, but what makes them different is that apparently the more you rock them, the cleaner they get. The dirtiness is actually a coating that has been applied on top of the shoe itself. Over time, this will wear off, leaving you with Air Force One that's meant to look newer, fresher, and cleaner.
My God.
And if you really want to speed up the process, Nike added a toothbrush and tube of toothpaste in the box.
So you can clean the shoes before you wear them.
They're only $130. I thought this was like some, unattainable shoe.
Oh, like when Nike made those, speaking of Back to the Future 2, the power lace Nikes.
Yeah.
I think they only made like one pair and some wrapper bottom.
That's wild. Also, I was just looking at a pen and ink artist from Honolulu called Chris Godo.
Yeah.
And I really like her art. I think it's a her. And some of her prints are so beautiful.
Oh my God, those self-lacing sneakers from Back to the Future were $40,000. You should send me that artist on Instagram. I'd love to see.
Yeah, well.
Or if you can describe their work, since this is an audio medium.
Well, it's pen and ink and a lot of pattern. She's a Hawaii based, and there's a lot of Hawaiian plants and themes, a lot of pattern, a lot of color. But when I looked at the prints on her website, I love them. So I'll send them to you, Chris Godo.
Okay.
Here you tell me what you think.
All right, so we're going to do a live reaction.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, these are fun. Yeah, they're beautiful. They're almost like patterny, watercolory, but a lot of flora and fauna.
Mm-hmm.
She's got tote bags.
Yeah. Well, that's actually how I found her. I saw someone post a tote bag that was a woman bathing in a papaya, in the seeds.
Oh, cool.
It was a drawing of that. And I was like, how do I get that tote bag? I
saw this one of a lady paddling out on a surfboard into the ocean, but the ocean's very like millions of little colored dots.
Yeah.
It looks like those little circles you look at to tell if you're colorblind, like if you see a number in the circle. Fun.
Yeah. That's what I've been looking at.
I'm currently looking at a pop-up message from the Dom Perignon website that's like, how can we help you shop for champagne right now?
Should we go to our topics?
Sure. Yeah, just hitting a couple of those. What are we wearing, watching, smelling, looking at, planting? could talk about what we're planting. Maybe next week.
Next week.
Okay, well, we've each brought a topic to the dining room table tonight to explain to the other person that maybe they don't know about. Although one of these days I'm going to start talking and you're going to be like, oh yeah, I know about that. I just haven't talked to you about it. So we are going to do a classic game of rock, paper, scissors. Or some people call it Rochambeau. I don't understand that.
That's
Like
the original name, right?
But is it like another language or maybe this should be your topic?
I feel like we've had to Google too much in this episode.
Yeah, no more Googling. Because row, I could see being short for rock, but then the Shambo. Anyway, we're going to go best 2 out of 3. Boom, boom, shoe. You ready?
Ready.
Rock, rock. Ooh, I covered Erin's rock. Ooh, she covered my rock with her paper. Oh, I covered her rock with paper. That was a good one. You know, my school did this school-wide rock, paper, scissors tournament recently. Did I tell you about this? Have you heard about this?
No. I don't know what you're talking about.
This is my topic.
Just straight into it.
Where every student got like a beaded necklace, like a Mardi Gras necklace. And then like kids had to play during passing time or before school, after school.
Until they were down to one winner.
Yeah. And so like if you beat somebody, you got their beads. And then like, you know, if you beat somebody with a bunch of beads, you get their beads. Also, they made a rule that kids could not play during class. Otherwise, teachers could take their beads. And I totally got some kids with a bunch of beads. And I was like, oh, those are mine now. And like wore them. But then I lost them to some kid in the hall.
Did this work? Did they come down to one winner?
I think so. I wasn't there during the like championships, but I think they had a thing where like if you had over 40 necklaces, you could enter in the like finals. But it had me Googling rock, paper, scissors theory. And I don't want to talk to you about it because I want to keep beating you on the podcast. Although it didn't work quite the way it was supposed to tonight. I'm going to let you go first tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Because I'm a gentleman.
Thank you. Okay, I think my topic's kind of brief.
Oh, thank God.
It is just a, like, kind of random philosophical, isn't fully like a new idea, but it was based on a New York Times article that I read that was about how human extinction is, like, on its way because of what's happening in the digital space. Some of the things in this article were interesting because he's arguing that what's happening in the digital world right now is not causing the normal kind of churn, like, you know, Netflix appearing and putting video stores out of business, like kind of that normal, like, technology advancing and changing things. But we're at something much more significant happening, especially with AI and everything that's happening. And he describes it as the digital revolution is forcing humans and like the human experience into a bottleneck, that there's like all of this pressure and it's threatening our culture, customs, like everything, basically. Essentially, like everything that we take for granted as like normal human experience and things that humans do, practices, is entering in that bottleneck. And we have to be intentional if we want anything to make it out of that, basically, like into the next generation, because things are going to be transmitted so weakly. Writing skills, math skills, relationships, everything has these digital substitutes that are easier, more addictive, immediate, easier to access. Even if they're not as good, they're like filling that gap in a much easier, more accessible way.
So we're keeping it light.
He argues languages will disappear, art forms will disappear, like major things that for our human culture, unless we are intentional about like reading the books, going to the movies, or going out and dating, you know, finding someone to date in real life rather than a dating app, or like intentional about keeping some of
that part's hard for me because don't dating apps kind of help people pair up in a easier way, like just because it cuts out a lot of that by chance, like going to a bar and meeting a person. That can be a little bit more of a refined process. But maybe that's, I guess I'm wondering like where the line is from like what technology helps us and is good, and other ones were like, no, do it the way we did it in the 80s.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because he talks about how you're less likely to have like a successful setup from online.
Really?
But yeah, you have a good point. I don't know what the data is around that. The article also talks about how there's like definitely positives, but like the whole trend is just everything getting shorter, more accessible little clips of information.
Oh my God, are we part of the problem?
Yeah.
The podcast right now?
Yeah.
Shit. You guys turn it off, throw your iPhone in the ocean, go talk to somebody about something you don't know about.
Yeah, don't listen to a podcast about it.
But join our Patreon.
I think the thing that was interesting to me was like, he says complacency is fatal for if we want cultural norms to continue. So like we need to be intentional about fighting for things that we love and that we want to continue. It has to be like people holding on to those things and actively protecting them and sharing them with the next generation.
Yeah, my brain was immediately going to what we can do as parents to help raise kids in this digital world.
Yeah, because otherwise he's like social life starts declining. Like we've seen like relationships being more online with like, but then even with AI, with like AI bots or whatever, like
the people that are their friends are AI bots.
Yes. Yeah. Like relationships declining, institutions like colleges, library, just like these things that we've kind of taken for granted in our society, losing that as part of our norm.
Are there any specific things that you want to make sure that we keep alive and don't just let an AI bot make a video of it on TikTok?
I know. He says, have the child practice the religion, found the school, support the local theater, the museum, the opera, or the concert hall. Even if you can see it all on YouTube, pick up the paintbrush, the ball, the instrument, learn the language, even if there's an app for it. Learn to drive, even if you think Waymo or Tesla will drive for you. Put up the headstones, don't just burn your dead. Sit with the child, open the book, and read. As the bottleneck tightens, survival will depend on like that intention.
All right, I'm going to Coachella 2026. No more Coachella.
I think that's really the takeaway here.
Did you say don't just burn your dead?
Yeah.
So you slipped that one in. A lot of those made sense to me, and then I was like, wait, what?
It's because this article is right on this like precipice of like, not only is our culture, like cultural norms going to die in this bottleneck, but that and then like our whole society will collapse and humans will become extinct.
So he's pro graveyard.
I think so. I mean, I think throwing that in there was like, because there's an edge of like darkness to this article around like everybody's like we're going extinct because of what's happening digitally, which the interesting thing to me was more about like the arts and the real life experiences and how to kind of be intentional about where, like what spaces that you're prioritizing in your life and sharing and holding on to. He said, nothing I've described is universal unless the true AI doomsayers are correct. In the year 2100, there will still be nations, families, religions, children, marriages, great books. But how much survives will depend on our own deliberate choices. The choice to date and love and marry and procreate, the choice to fight for particular nations and art forms, worldviews, the choice to limit our exposure to the virtual. Not refusing new technology, but trying every day in every setting to make ourselves kind of like the master of that technology.
Yeah, I guess the tricky part can be like, how do you use that technology to also keep culture and traditions alive, but
Yeah.
and not let it slip into a 3-second bite on TikTok.
Yeah.
A lot of that sounded cult leaderish to me in some ways. And that I would probably do well in a cult because I'm like, no, that makes
You're
sense.
all in.
Yeah, totally. I'll burn my phone.
Well, he's a conservative writer.
Oh, shit, Erin. This is not supposed to be a conservative podcast.
But I liked the thinking about how we prioritize how we use our time and reading real articles. And like maybe that's a what's the word? Like TikTok or whatever, like is a new art form. And I'm stuck in because it's new and it's not legitimate or something, and that we have to hold on to these things that just happen to be what our generation was used to.
Yeah, there's definitely an element of this sort of boomer-esque note of kids just need to put their phones down and go outside and smell a flower and all this shit. And and also what bothers me about all that is it's always through some digital medium that somebody's telling me this message. It's like an Instagram reel where they're being like, kids are on their phones too much. Right. I'm like, I'm on my phone.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's interesting because it's not, to me, it's not that it's just anti-technology, but it's the way that technology is condensed or condensing what we have our attention spans for and what we appreciate.
It's not more quote unquote real life interactions.
Yeah. But maybe that is real life now. If you're born when there's AI and everything, and that's just part of your...
Right. And it's ruining the environment, the dolphins.
Yeah, we need to fix that part.
I'm sure we're on it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, those are some big questions, Erin.
I think it's too complex for my brain right now, but it makes me want to go see movies and read books and articles.
I think you're just turning conservative. Yeah. Is what's happening. And you're in a cult. You're following a cult leader. It was on New York Times. I didn't realize they were a conservative cult leader, bro.
It's like an opinion writer, dude.
It is interesting. And I think a lot about that, what does technology help in our current lives and what is it helping us to forget? Did I make you read American Gods? Did we listen to part of it?
Mm-hmm.
On a trip we took one time?
We did, yeah.
That has a similar theme where there's all these old gods from the old world, but then there's new gods that are sprouting up, like gods of internet and electricity and sidewalk and neon and stuff like that. And they're
Sidewalk is in there with
sidewalk.
It's a hot new technology.
The god of sidewalk. Have you seen this tech sidewalk? I'm not sure when Neil Gaiman wrote American Gods. Maybe it was right around when Sidewalk came out. But
sidewalk tech.
I think it's similar that a lot of people these old gods are dying out because people don't worship them anymore. And these new gods are getting really powerful. And the book kind of portrays these new gods as really sleazy and kind of Republican and not to trash talk your new group. Just kidding. All right, you ready for my topic? Thank you for making me question and contemplate our entire lives and how we're raising our children. My topic is slightly lighter. Have you ever heard of Moyenne Island?
No.
Okay. So it's this island in the Seychelles Islands, which I had heard that word.
Me too. And it's a popular shoe brand.
Oh, exactly. It's those strappy little sandals, which I knew about. But the actual Seychelles Islands are in the northeast of Madagascar. So it's kind of Indian Ocean-ish. Apparently this island, Moyenne Island, pirates used it in the 18th and 19th century. And there's still 2 graves on the island where they were said unhappily unknown on the graves. And the theory is that pirates killed 2 people and buried their pirate treasure on the island so that the ghosts of those two people would protect their treasure. Which is wild to me that they're
Okay,
like...
wait. I feel like I missed. When are we talking about?
That was in the 18th and 19th century.
Both centuries?
Yep. Right around the turn. When you had to change your clocks from 18th to 19th century.
I don't know, like Y1K. Wait.
It was right around Y1K when pirates were very concerned about the changeover and the systems they were using. No, like, I'm going to get into more about this island, Erin, but one fun fact about it is that there was 2 pirate graves, and the theory is that they just straight up killed 2 people so their ghosts would inhabit the island and protect the treasure that they buried there. Which is crazy. I would love to hear this conversation of them being like, we need to bury our treasure here, but what if somebody finds it? And they're like, well, we're going to kill these 2 people so their ghosts will protect the treasure on the island.
Yeah. Where'd you hear about this?
Erin?
No, I'm trying to like ground myself in the story. Like, is this connected to a book? A movie?
No, this is real life.
You're right. Yeah. But like, there wasn't a book about it. Did you hear about it on TikTok?
No. I did hear about Moyenne Island from scrolling on the internet. It was like definitely a clickbaity like story about the island, but that is just a little fact about it that I discovered from delving into Moyenne Island. So the real story about this island,
okay,
is that in 1962, Brendan Grimshaw, a British newspaper person, was vacationing in the Seychelles, and he totally like fell in love with the whole area and the way of life in those islands in the 60s. And so he was only supposed to be there for like 2 weeks, but then in the last like 5 days of his travels, he was like, I need to move here. I want to buy a place.
Good for him.
Somewhere in the Seychelles. I'm going to sell all my stuff back in London or whatever to be able to buy a place there. So someone told him that there was an island that he could buy. So he had like dinner with this guy who supposedly owned the island that was like passed down like through his family. It was an uninhabited island, and the newspaper guy convinced him that he would take care of it. Like the guy at first was like, no, I'm not selling my island to some British person. And then he was like, no, I want to like care for it. So this Brendan Grimshaw newspaper British person bought the island for $22,000 in 1962. No one had lived on it since 1915. So it had been uninhabited for like...
But there was like buildings on it still?
There was one stone house that had been like basically fallen apart. Mm-hmm. So it used to house like a family, but there was no infrastructure or anything like that. It's very small. The island is just over 24 acres, which is like 15 city blocks. So
thanks for translating that for my city brain.
It was on the same website where I converted Dom Perignon to 19,000 pool gallons. 23 million. So the island was completely dilapidated, like overgrown, like just a disaster. It was completely choked out with weeds and trees and vines and things. The saying is that like coconuts never hit the ground there when they would fall off trees because they would just land in like all this thick brush. There was only 3 types of trees on the island when he bought it, and also that it was infested with rats. Fucking jungle rats. So for years and years, he spent, cleaning and clearing out this island and bringing in other trees and like things to like, flora and fauna to put on the island. He, along with this other dude, who I'll talk about in a second, like planted tons of trees. And then over the course of like years and years, like 2,000 species of birds started coming to the island once he like fixed it up and made it more bird friendly. And him and his buddy also started propagating tortoises on the island. And apparently 120 tortoises have been born on this island. The trees, so it only had 3 types of like basic trees on it, but now that they've transplanted all these trees, it now has mahogany and palm and mango and pawpaw trees, which I had to Google are basically papaya trees.
I think I knew that.
That pawpaw was papaya?
Yeah, because I think things that I've seen that are papaya sometimes say papa. There's like some. Oh yeah, there's that skin stuff that's in a red bottle that's called papa.
Oh.
Wait. Side Google. It's important.
It's also a character I'm working on of a small British child that asked their dad for a papaya. Papa, can I get a papaya?
Yeah, this. This is exactly. Luca's Papa ointment.
Lucas?
Yeah.
That's a cool name. I think I've seen that bottle.
Yeah, it's like a cult following type skincare thing.
Interesting. So Brendan, the guy who bought the island, got to be friends with Rene LaFortune, the son of a local fisherman who helped transform the island by clearing the overgrowth. Both of them transplanted 16,000 trees onto this island.
That's wild.
It took them 2 years to build the main path across the island. 2 years of just clearing a path across the island. He initially just wanted to build a home on the island and sort of retire there, but eventually he wanted to clean up the entire island and protect and restore the beauty of it. Renee was also really into reptiles, and he's the dude who was like, we should also breed tortoises here. So they did. There's been 120 tortoises, like I said, that have lived there for years. Currently, there's 50 tortoises on right now. They're Aldabra tortoises.
Deborah tortoises?
Deborah. I think her name was Deborah. So they spent like tons and tons of years cleaning this up. Now there's like over 3 miles of nature paths. At certain points of him living there, like he got offers from lots of people because there was a lot of like hotels and stuff that like were like, this would be the perfect island now that it's all cleaned up to build like a big hotel there. And so he was offered $54 million at one point for the island, which is, I did the math, a 245,000% return on his investment of $22,000.
Crazy.
Yeah. But he turned it down. And in 2010, he was able to make it a national park. And it's the world's smallest national park, and it's completely protected now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is he alive?
No. Sadly, he died in 2012. So he made it a national park in 2010 and died 2 years later.
Wow.
So it's completely protected. There's all these species of birds there. There's tons of trees. It's got more species per square foot than any other national park on the planet.
Oh my God.
But because it's so tiny, it's a tiny island that has lots of species of birds and tortoises.
Can we visit?
Yes, you can visit. Yeah.
Wow.
Because it's a national park.
Wow.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous. So when I read about this, and then I actually like found a documentary from 1997 and watched part of it where they like interviewed him and stuff, and they talk about the island. Although it's a very poorly done documentary. There's a lot of like very long transitions of them just like filming up into the trees and like slowly fading into the conversation.
A whole lot of content.
Yeah, exactly. But it was really interesting to hear him talk about the island and working on it. And I feel like there's this romantic part of me that's like, man, it'd be so dope to do something like that. But then there's this other super practical part of me that's like, I'm battling the grass in our front yard right now. And it's like so hard to get this grass out of this very small area in our front yard. And picturing like
owning an island.
An island? Like where you're a tropical island where everything is growing constantly, like battling all that and getting it to the place where it's like there's tons of trails and stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe endless.
Yeah. And I think he talks about that in the documentary, that a lot of people are like, oh, I want to do what you did. And he's like, I don't think you realize that it's nonstop work.
Yeah.
Like, but in the clearing of the island, they found the 2 pirate graves. Oh. And so that's the theory, is that the pirates killed 2 people and buried them there so their ghosts would protect the treasure. And if you go and visit, he gives you shovels that you can go and dig around the island to try to find the treasure.
So no one's found the treasure?
Not yet.
It could be us.
This could be us.
All right, I'm ready.
I should show you pictures of the Seychelles. It looks gorgeous.
Yes, please. Good topic. How do you spell it?
Moyenne? Moyenne.
Moyenne.
Might have had another, like, colloquial name, but Moyenne is the official.
I didn't know anything about Moyenne Island.
You didn't know what I was talking about?
No. Now I do.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna in the future get all my topics from just things that I scroll over and like. Although I did do a dive on it, although it made me realize how much like misinformation there is out there. And this kind of relates to your topic.
Mm-hmm.
That I initially started Googling this, and like a lot of things were like, oh yeah, he fell in love with this fisherman's daughter, and and she brought the tortoises to the island. But then I watched the documentary, and it was just this dude that he was not in love with.
He wasn't in love with the dude.
He wasn't in love with the dude. They were just friends who rebuilt the island, and like, I don't think they were gay lovers. I'll have to rewatch that boring documentary.
All right.
On
that note.
All right. Thanks, Erin.
Thanks. Good
Love
night.
you.
Love you.
Love you too.
Good night.
Good night.
Have you ever transcended space and time?
Yes. No. Time, not space. No, I don't know what you're talking about.